Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 3 of Hops and Hedges, the podcast where we talk about beer, landscaping, and everything in between. I'm your host, Heather Gerard from My Landscape Artist, and I am so glad you're here. Hops and Hedges is proudly sponsored by ext.tech, and you're going to want to stick around until the end of the show for an exclusive discount code to use for their powerful CRM software and mobile app. Now crack open a cold one, and let's dig in. There we go. With me again for take 3. Actually, I was going to say take 2, but actually this is take 3. John Harsevoort from Maple Ridge Living. So, John, thank you again for coming back.
Always happy to be here.
I'm so glad. We were just looking it up before we started recording. Your original episode was in March of last year. You were, for a while there, I think somebody's kicked you out. I'd have to double check, but you were in the #1 spot for the most watched and downloaded episode of last year. So we tried to, you must take it back. It is yours. I want my gold star.
If I'm competitive enough, I'll need to take that back.
Yeah. So send your mom a message to send it to all of her friends, right? But then we brought you back in September and we had some audio issues, so we couldn't do it. And now here we are again in March. This has been a full year since your first episode on the show.
It does not seem like that long. That's crazy. A year has gone by.
Right? Just like that. So we did get to see each other very briefly at Congress this year. So before we get into the questionnaire, because we didn't actually get a chance to catch up or chat much, it was a very busy week at a busy designers conference. But I wanted to ask you, what was your biggest takeaway from Congress this year?
Yeah. So, Congress itself is always every year, because we've gone every year for many, many, many years. And not casting any shade on Congress at all, because they do a fantastic job and I love it. But it's kind of like every year, it's kind of like, do we really need to walk the trade show floor again? Because it's kind of always the same old. But every year,
right,
we go again and we remind ourselves that it's totally worth it. On one level, seeing our suppliers and vendors and some new products, but more and more so, and you probably have the same experience, it's just like seeing people, right? So it's connecting, networking, seeing some people that, I have my Congress friends, I call them, but I literally only see once a year at Congress, and catch up. And but then, it's just really, really great. So the Congress, the trade show floor itself, and then the awards banquet is always really great to see. Just the incredible work that our community is doing. And the designers conference, I thought I haven't always gone. I didn't go. I don't believe I was there last year. This year was phenomenal. It was such a great day.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well.
Yeah. So standout to me, I think, would be the designers conference and then the award show. So if you're part of that and you submit awards, 2 years, and then the years prior to that, it was getting a little bit out of hand where, basically, and again, not casting shade, but
no, I am right there with you. Out of hand is a good way to put it.
If you entered, you basically won almost, right? So there's so many winners, which is amazing. And it's really great to receive an award. It's really great as a company to get awards. It doesn't technically, our clients don't know that, 100 other people also won. But yeah, so last year, it depends. So they listened to our complaints and, but they swung the pendulum really far last year, which is a little bit shocking.
Yeah.
Because almost nobody, right? Because the criteria, and again, they had to do a reshift and kind of a clean slate and just rethink it. So they raised the bar, which is great, amazing. This year it was kind of nice to see that pendulum swing back a little bit, where a few more people won, and they actually gave out the big awards like the FedEx and Grub and a few others. That was really great. We entered 2 awards. We took an award of merit for one of them, which we're very happy about. And it raises the bar for all of us to what we're going to submit for future years.
That's awesome. Really, I've not submitted anything yet. And I say yet because I do want to, but it's probably a little bit of that, sharing your work with your peers. It's like, it's really hard. It's really hard. So I will one day.
Yeah, design is hard. Like I think I've only ever submitted one design and didn't take anything for it. It's a hard one. So if you look at the submissions, like I don't design 2D in color, I just do renderings, and all of the submissions are like color, right?
Right.
Like, okay, well, do I color all my designs to submit them? And then of course with digital rendering, it's a whole different ball game now, right? So anyway.
Oh yeah.
I'll leave that for other designers. That's okay.
Yeah. We were talking too, again, before we started recording, that we're both in the process of getting our CLD stamp. So certified landscape designers.
Nice. Good for you. Nice.
And same to you, John. I know it was a goal of mine for last year. I wanted to get it by the end of last year. And again, that imposter syndrome just creeped in. And I was like, poor Lexi Dearborn. She's really one of my mentors and a business coach of mine and a dear friend. And bless her, but she'll just call me out of the blue. And she's like, so I haven't got your submission yet. It's like, I'm still just working on submitting the first one. How far are you in the
Yeah,
process?
same. Like I just like, I think on Tuesday, I hit click on sent the first package, right? So I mean, you just gone through, it's a fair bit of work. And so, I mean, it's not like I can just go back and do a design and say, oh, okay, here's a folder. Like you have to kind of make it specific to the process. So you're editing some things and compiling different types of data in there and changing. I mean, you're submitting someone's place, right? So you have to edit a few things here and there and just think of it differently. So yeah. And of course, you got to get a permission and all those things. So it's a process, but it's good. And yeah, I'm interested to see. So I submitted my first package and I'm interested to see what kind of feedback comes back.
Okay. Are you biting your nails like down to the quick, waiting for it to hear back? Yeah. I haven't even submitted mine yet.
I don't know how long that process is. That's fine. I was hoping to get ahead of it this winter more so that I wouldn't creep into my busy season, but we'll see.
Did you see that there's a CLD training event at Fanshawe and in Milton?
Yeah. So I'm hoping that I hear some stuff back on mine before that.
Okay.
So that I can kind of take that knowledge going in. But if you're listening to attend? CNLA people, there's my pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to. But again, it'd be really great to get some feedback on what I have already submitted so I have a bit of context going into that.
Right.
Because I mean, I'm going in under the legacy program, so it's a little bit different.
Yep, me too.
For me, compared to what that process is going to be for kind of everybody else, I guess.
Right.
So anyway, we'll see.
Okay. Well, here's hoping.
I'm excited. Yeah.
End of the year that there's two.
Maybe we can get them together at the same time. We'll walk the stage.
Oh, that'd be right. Get our little piece of paper, our little stamp, just like that. So for those tuning in, sorry, that was a little bit of a segue. It was also an opportunity to catch up, but I'm also just so excited for you that you're getting your CLD and excited and nervous for me that I'm getting mine. So if anybody's listening in and they're not sure what CLD is, that is the Certified Landscape Designer kind of stamp through the Canadian National Landscape Association of Landscape Architects, something like that.
Nursery Landscape Association.
Right. Yeah, the long one. That's really hard for me to say.
So it's a nationally recognized designation, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So for those tuning in who don't know you, John, I know that you've been with Maple Ridge Living. It's your 20th year with the company. Company's been around for 24 years. You are the designer, right? That's your area of expertise. But you guys aren't just landscape design. You guys do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. So thanks for bringing that up. So like you said, we've been in business for, I think we're going into our 24th year. I've been with the company for 20 of those years. And yeah, filled a whole bunch of different roles throughout that process, which is a beautiful thing about our industry. Everything is wide open and attainable for anybody who wants to get into it. But yeah, over those years, started out, so Tim Cedars, the owner, started a couple of years before me, but we were kind of hand in hand a little bit. So I kind of did what a lot of, young entrepreneur guys want to do. You want to buy a truck and start a business because you did it as a summer job and that's what you do and you loved it. And then we evolved over those 23, 24 years by a lot of learnings, a lot of mistakes, a lot of successes, a lot of interacting with other companies, a lot of great peers in our industry who were super amazing at giving advice. So we were strictly kind of like your typical landscape company, right? So we did property maintenance, did plowed snow and cut grass and did gardens and designed and built landscapes and did all of it. And then we really, over the years, kind of discovered what our sweet spot is, which is residential construction project management. So we probably 7 years ago, I kind of got out of the property management field, so the lawn mowing and snow clearing fields, and focused heavily more on just residential construction. And then that kind of led us into, we're project managers. We have a 20-year database of clients of jobs that we've done, whether it's someone's pool or their outdoor kitchen or a patio or whatever. It's project management, whatever way you look at it. And we have time and time again clients saying, who we've done work for, maybe some of them multiple times, and they're like, hey, we really valued working with you. We have a high level of trust and integrity. Do you have anybody else that you know of that, like you, that does kitchens or bathrooms? Because we're thinking of doing some interior work. So we'd be like, over the years, we'd be like, oh yeah, of course we have this person in our network or whatever. We're not really giving that work away. It was still kind of under our umbrella because it was a referral from us, but after a while, we just really started kind of leaning into that and saying, hey, like we're project managers, whether it's inside or outside, it's all relatively the same thing. We're using the same trades. It's very similar. So we rebranded in 2021 to from Maple Rose Landscapes into Maple Rose Living. So now we would brand ourselves, our story brand, if you were to call it that. We are your go-to trusted residential partners in residential enhancement. So if you're a homeowner, we're like your one-stop go-to for your house. So whether that's outside, inside, the exterior facade of your house, whatever. So that's what we do as a company is no longer simply landscapes, but anything to do with residential home ownership. And it's just residential. We don't do anything commercial, strictly residential in
That's
a
awesome.
certain area, right? So we're kind of like, we call the GHA, the Greater Hamilton area. We don't go to Toronto. We tend to kind of stick the west side of Oakville over to Cambridge and then that direction.
Yeah. It's so interesting, like leaning in, as you were saying, to you're already doing stuff. You already have those relationships. People come to you for advice because you are a trusted contractor. And, we're already project managing. So if we're already working with all of these other sub trades and subcontractors, why not bring them together? Like it's incredible what I may be getting a little sidetracked here, but it really excites me, this concept of businesses working with other businesses, because we can only be so good at what we do, right? As an individual business. So if you are really good at project management and you are building a network, why not like leverage the network that you have to get the people who do what they do really well work?
Absolutely. I mean, that's an unfortunate kind of aspect or an unfortunate smear of renovations or contractors is people are coming into it with distrust, right? Like there's a fear of getting ripped off or people doing shoddy work and you're stuck paying the bill or whatever. And if we already have this whole network of people that we've done work for, they know us, they trust us. And if we can help them by bringing in the people that I mean, we're not going to work with shoddy subcontractors. We'll only work with contractors that we know are going to do good work because they're representing us.
Yep.
So if we can bring them in to help our clients, that's a win-win for everybody. That's a win-win for the subcontractor. That's a win-win for us and
Yeah.
for homeowners, right? So
It's
that's
so
our
funny how
philosophy.
even as a homeowner ourselves, like we rely on word of mouth for any type of contract work.
Oh yeah.
And we've been burned, right? You think somebody is legitimate because they show up and they've got a nice uniform and they've got a great truck. You found their website and it was clean and it was easy to find. And then they just disappear.
Yep.
Like it's just, right? So if we can actually lean on the contractors we already trust and know, that's just the same as asking your best friend, hey, do you know a roofing guy?
Yep.
Ask your contractor you already know and have worked with.
Best. Yeah, and I think like our goal that we track all of our referrals, and our goal is higher than 85% referral based business, and we hit that. We've hit that consecutively for many years now. More than 85% of our leads are referral based, so those are coming from either current clients, former clients, friends, family, instead of just Google. So that says a lot
Right.
about a company.
So I want to this season it's a little bit different than previous seasons. We're focusing a little bit more on mentorship and mental health and the people who have helped us get to where we're at. And so I'm always asking guests if there's a mentor, somebody in their life who has helped guide them or inspire them or influence their life in some way. And you mentioned Jeff Heidbert. Do you want to give a shout out to Jeff, and who is Jeff and why is he amazing?
Yeah, so Jeff, and if he ever listens to this, he'll think this is hilarious and he'll be all embarrassed and whatever. But
Aw.
well, I have been running with a group of guys down at Bayfront Park in Hamilton for like the last 16, 17 years. So we run Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. And when I started, it was kind of like a core group of 4 or 5. And we kind of laugh at ourselves. We have like a WhatsApp chat of like 40 people, but maybe
Yeah.
8 of us show up. And Jeff and his whole family. So Jeff has been running with us for a few years. And then during COVID, he was recognizing that they're a really close knit type family. And his dad and his sons-in-law and his sons, they were struggling during COVID, right? Like it's hard to network with people, and maybe you're not getting out and being as active as you used to be because of restrictions and whatever. So he started bringing his sons-in-law and his dad down to run with us, and it's outside, and we were being safe and whatever. But
Yep.
anyway, so I met Jeff and his whole family, and like I was so struck by just how, I mean, close as a family, but just so intentional about
Mm.
other people and community, and they coach at all different levels, and Jeff and his dad owned a business together, like a disaster recovery business that his dad had started. Jeff worked alongside him in the business, then took it over. But the business and Al, so Al is Jeff's dad, their focus was never about let's build this business and make money. It was always about how many people can we employ and how can we make life the best it can possibly be for our employees. Always thinking about others. So Al, Jeff's dad, Al has Parkinson's, developed Parkinson's during the time that, so he used to run with us. And then over a course of about 5 or 6 years, Parkinson's got really bad to the point where he's really can't look after himself anymore. Jeff sold his house and his business and bought a house to move his parents into. And there's an extra apartment that he moved a single lady from his church into to help her out. Like, this is the kind of person that he is, right? So that, and it's just about, because it's like life isn't about himself or business. And then on top of that, the transition from business, it didn't go very smoothly. And he was just so open. He wasn't embarrassed to talk about how maybe he failed a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And he'd be very quite open about it and talk very openly about his failures, and then also how it wasn't that he felt like a failure because of a financial thing, but he was letting people down, which just really struck me, right? So it wasn't about ego, like, oh man, I failed at this thing in business and it makes me a lesser person. It was more like, I'm letting people down, I'm hurting other people because of my decisions, which is such a incredible thing for someone to be open to you about. I mean, he got pretty emotional lots of times, and we had really great chats. And anyway, I think I actually mentioned him the very first time that we spoke in a way. And I said that, when I grow up, he's the man that I want to be.
Yeah.
The man that I want to be when I grow up, even though I'm 50. But it just says something about how intentional and humble he is around his kids, around his parents, around others that he deals with, that he's just intentional and transparent and honest. That's it's really affected me in my life.
It's
Cheers,
really, yeah. Let's cheers to Jeff. You've got a bubbly, not a bubbly water, the blue Bennu Cling water, which is quite nice. I have a sober Carpenter, which is a pretty good one. So this is one of the 0% non-alcohol beers that I like. There's, in your questionnaire, I have to go back to this. You actually mentioned a hazy.
So Collective Arts has a really good. It's just called Hazy Pale Ale, and it's they're non-alcoholic. One of their non-alcoholics, but it's the one that I like. So they have they have an alcoholic version of it as well, which would be. It's been a while since
Life in the Clouds.
Right. It'd be like Life in the Cloud. It'd be very similar to that.
Okay.
Like almost exactly the same flavor, but it's their non-alcoholic version.
Okay, I'm gonna. Collective Arts Hazy Pale Ale. That is next on my list to try. Hazy Pale Ale. Yeah, because you've actually been, it was on here. How long now have you been sober? Which is amazing.
13 months, 14. So January, yeah, almost 14 months, 13 months anyway. So
like, that is a huge change, John. So I tip my hat to you. It's a toque, but I tip my hat to you, sir. One day I will make the transition. I'm not quite there yet, but it's on the horizon for me. So what was it for you? What was it that was like, I'm going to move over to the alcohol free? Yeah.
So for me, it was definitely more than just a health thing. It was more of an addiction thing. So I'm a recovering alcoholic, by the grace of God, I'm in recovery for 14 months now. So it was that, some mental health. I mean, alcoholism is generally a symptom of something else. It's a disease as well. It's definitely runs in my family. It's a genetic thing. But mine was mostly caused by, like stress and anxiety and just a lot of past trauma, I guess. So, I mean, I've always had a unhealthy relationship with alcohol, like my whole adult and young older teen life, I guess, where it's just a genetic trait, I guess, for myself, where it's never just, let's just enjoy one beer. Let's enjoy 3 or 4, right? And then, of course, as you grow, and that is kind of what surrounds you in your life, then that tolerance, of course, increases like anything else. And then it's, 5 or 6. And then it was never a thing like I always had to be drinking. Like, I never drank at work or anything like that. I mean, it was more like, and many people have this, and it's not always a negative thing, but it's like, okay, finally, it's Friday night, work is done, or you finished that hard thing in the yard, or you finished playing that sport or whatever, and that's what you look forward to, right? And that's all great, that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it doesn't stop with one, right? So I was recognizing that in myself, and then it just that carries on into many other unhealthy things, right? So, I mean, if you have anxiety, that I did, a little bit of kind of like OCD, ADHDs, all those tendencies, sleep is a really big thing for me, and
Yeah.
alcohol doesn't do well with sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Like it, I mean, you can sleep, but your sleep isn't quality.
Right.
I'm very active. I like to be very active, cycling and running, and it was affecting me in that way, which then, of course, snowballs because then you start feeling kind of down about that because you're not progressing in the sports that you want to do, and like
Yeah.
it spirals, right? So
It's so
anyway,
interesting.
for me, it was not. I knew that I couldn't just cut down. It was nothing. It was all or nothing. So I chose
Yeah.
nothing.
Right. That's a huge step. Like, it's just huge.
It's been the best.
Yeah.
Alcohol, like that's one choice. There's many other life choices that I made kind of all at the same time, just
Yeah.
focusing more on fitness and better sleep. And I removed myself from a lot of commitments that I was overcommitted to, which were
That's
taking
a
up
hard one too.
a lot of mental space. Which I mean, there's two sides to that too, right? So I mean, you kind of feel guilty because I'm a very involved in a church, right? So I was leading youth group and I was on leadership and all these things are really great things, but I was overcommitting to the point where that's great. I'm on a team or I'm on a committee, but I'm not really doing it. Like I'm not really helping. I'm just
Right.
there
Yeah.
because I felt like I needed to, right? And then there's guilt that comes from that. And it's just nonstop. So
I know that guilt.
myself from that. So taking alcohol out of my life, refining, just being very intentional with having great conversations with my wife and with my pastors and some good friends about, boundaries and all these sorts of things is just, and I encourage anybody who's in anything, whether it's church or leadership in your company or leadership in an industry committee or whatever, is just really assess how much of your personal and family and health time that you're giving to something and why, right? So, I mean,
Mhm.
you can't, I think we talked about this on the last one, right? You were talking about the oxygen mask when you're going down on an
Right.
airplane, you're supposed to put the oxygen mask on yourself first so
Yep.
that you can help other people. You have to do that in life in lots of different ways.
Yeah.
It sounds selfish to say, but you need to think about yourself first but flip side of that is that way you can be better for others, right? Whether it's your family or your friends or your employees or your coworkers.
Yep. And there's so much there too with the guilt, the shame, feeling selfish for putting your mask on first. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy. Something you mentioned earlier too, and I wanted to bring that up again. I don't drink at work either, right? Or I'm not hiding it when I'm going out, but I do enjoy beer, and it's also kind of like I'm starting to become hyper aware that it's always on my mind, right? So if I'm out gardening or it's hot or I'm at the gym even in the afternoon, I'm like, "Oh, I can't wait to go home, have a hot shower and a beer." It's like, as my tolerance increases, my self-awareness about it is also increasing. So I'm kind of at this interesting spot where I'm like, "Man, like it's always on my mind." So, I'm past the denial stage. I'm at whatever the next step
Yeah.
is.
I mean, I mean, of course, because I was in it, I did the deep dive on and a little bit of my OCD, ADHD tendencies. I deep dove on what alcohol does to you. So if you do any research on it, and maybe if you like beer, you might not want to do the research on it, but it's not good for you. I mean,
No.
alcohol in general, right? So, I mean, not to harp on this too hard and whatever, I don't want to tick
No, but
people
it's
off,
good to
but like
know.
you hear a lot of people complain about burnout or overwhelm or sluggishness or brain fog, and they go relate it to, too much work or not good enough sleep. Well, you know what? There's another factor in there. It's alcohol is not helping with that at all. Staying up too late is also not helping with that. I
Yeah.
go to like I'm whatever. I'm a bit of an old man. I've always been like this because I get up early to train, but I rarely go to bed after 9:30. And I know that's easy for me to say because I'm not on all kinds of meetings at night, committees and whatever, but that was part of my intentionality of stepping away from certain things. I know that I need sleep. If I want to be able to show up well for others and do my jobs to the best of my ability, be the best father, husband, friend, partner, or whatever, I know
Yeah.
that that's what I need to do. I need to feed my body and my brain in that way that I can actually be that person.
Yeah.
So
It's funny how you call yourself an old man and I call myself an old lady. And you said you're 50? Did you turn 50 this year or just 50 or
I'll be 51 in May.
51 in May? Okay. And I'll be 39 in September. Next year's the big 40 for me.
Okay, yeah. The
Uh,
big one, 40s. You know what? The 40, I mean, my wife and I will say that, I mean, and we said this in our 40s.
yeah.
The 40s was our favorite generation. And now, well, she's not 50 yet. She'll be 50 next year, but I'm going into my 50s and I'm like, this looks like it might be my best decade ever.
Yeah. It's weird that I've kind of had this weird I don't know if it's a belief, but a really strong feeling, and I don't know how else to describe it. But since I lived in India when I was 18, 19 years old, I was there for a year. And when I came home, excuse me, I had a overwhelming feeling that my 40s were just going to be on fire. And I've had this ever since I was 18 and ever since I came back from India, that it's like I can't wait until my 40s. And everybody's like, don't like wish your youth away, right? You'll get there. You'll get there. And now it's like, next year, baby, bring on the
Sweet.
40s. I'm ready.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So my wife and I will talk about that. It's like it's almost like and if, I mean, everyone's got different situations in their life. Of course, we raised our kids through our 30s.
Yeah.
Now in our 40s, our kids aren't that old. Like my youngest is 17. But yeah, our 40s were kind of like the time where we actually kind of settled into who we were instead of being something for others, right? So we're actually, it was the time where we could finally get to that stage in our life where we could really kind of focus on who we were and not having to give everything to others.
Right.
So,
Yep. And we do that, don't we?
yep,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep. Yep. Next thing I wanted to talk to you about. So when we spoke like a year ago, you guys were on this multi-million dollar job. And I understand now, if I understand correctly, this job is done now. You guys are finished, complete. Talk about it.
So
This sounds
that
awesome.
was an incredible experience. I can't get into too much detail of the project, of course,
Yeah.
for privacy issues, but it was the biggest project that we've ever done, and hopefully won't be the biggest that we'll ever do. But it was just kind of one of those once in a lifetime opportunities that kind of sort of through our network fell
Yeah.
into our lap, so to speak. But it was just a friend of a friend made an introduction, and we were interviewed for it. And at the time when we were looking at it, it was like, oh, this is like a lot bigger than we've ever done. Instead of being scared of it, we said, well, you know what? Let's look at it this way. Instead of it being what we normally do, it's just what we normally do, but 10 of them all at once, right?
Yeah.
So let's just look at it that way, and we're gonna break that up into those compartments. So, on the project management side and on the design side and on the pricing side, it's the same as we always do, but it's just methodically we're going to go through it 10 times, right? So it was probably the biggest learning experience in a positive way that we've ever had, because it forced us to think way differently on a project management side, on a scale side, on a scheduling side. We're
Hmm.
working with numbers that are just like almost don't make sense
Right.
for ordering materials and that sort of thing. So the scheduling and structuring a site and like where to store things and all, like, just it was incredible how that worked. It was a perfect marriage of things because the project manager on the other side, so our client was actually the custom home builder. It wasn't the homeowner.
Yep.
So we were working for the custom home builder. Their project manager and the company themselves were just phenomenal to work with as well, which made it so much nicer. But it was a big learning experience for us because throughout the project, the homeowner and the home builder recognized that we really were strong in the project management side and in the deliverables and just the trust side. And they just kept handing more and more aspects of the project over for us to manage, so it started out at this level and ended up at this level through the 2-year process. All of our our crew members that were on site all learned huge through it. Our estimating team learned huge through our sales, our design, everything. As a designer, it was great. It was like almost zero budget, so it was just like, let's
Giver.
try this. Like it was really, really great. So on the design side, like speaking strictly as a designer, it was a huge positive learning because I got to think way outside the box and just try stuff that I normally wouldn't get to try on
Right.
average projects, right? So, and
Wow.
from that, because we had to get a lot of custom stuff made, I now have a lot more stuff in my toolbox and a lot more knowledge of some of the vendors that we use to be able to get kind of think creatively to say, hey, you guys did this for us on this project. Let's just do the same thing but on a smaller scale, or let's try this. Like the boundary, the borders kind of like disappeared.
That's so neat as a designer. How you mentioned a toolbox, right? It's one thing that I think on the maybe basic level, some people think as a designer, okay, you need to know your hardscape materials and you need to know your plants, right?
Mm.
But there is a whole world, like a whole world. Okay, maybe you add some irrigation and you add some landscape lighting, but it is beyond that. There are pools and there are cabanas and there are outdoor kitchens and there are outdoor structures. Like there is.
Yeah, and then take all of that and then try to be unique, right? So all of those different things, but then because there's so many other companies that you're competing against and design and people are on Instagram and
Pinterest and
everything and they're seeing these crazy unique, which is really, really cool. Not everybody wants that, to be
yep,
fair, but it's kind of like, so yes, you need to know all the elements and all the detail and materials, but you also need to design it in a way that's somehow different that you're going to win the job, right? So
yeah,
yeah, that's actually the
it's
hardest part of the job. Learning all the stuff is easy, so to speak, like you can do it, but
yep,
doing it with creativity and a little bit of flair is pretty hard.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's yeah. The bigger the toolbox, sometimes it's then you have to start categorizing all your tools in the toolbox because you're like, anyway,
Yeah.
that's a whole other segue.
Do you use like what do you use Dynascape, SketchUp? Like how do you do?
I'm primarily Dynascape and SketchUp, and then I also do hand rendering, which is I don't want to say it's becoming a lost art because I don't think it's going to be a lost art. I think it's going to become almost more niche and hyper specialized. Like if you
Yeah.
want a hand drawing, there are only going to be a few people who do it, and I'm game.
Yeah, it's funny, how that comes full. So like Len Hordyke and Fred Post they drew all the figures for Dynascape, right? Like so these guys come from a background and everything was hand drawn. They are part of the development behind Dynascape, which
Yep.
is the one AutoCAD version. And now most things are Dynascape or AutoCAD or whatever. But I think, yeah, like with a lot of things, it's kind of coming back around for a certain aspect of the business for sure. I don't hand draw. I don't hand draw anything. I didn't learn. I learned straight up Dynascape. But yeah, that's it. I'm a terrible drawer.
I was just
I
going to
used to be
say,
able
how
to.
confident are you in your hand rendering abilities?
I used to be able to draw. That's the thing. I was just talking with my wife about this penmanship, right? So like once a month, maybe I'll have to like actually write a paragraph, like more than a sentence for something. Like, I don't know, when you're filling out a form or something.
Yeah.
And it's like my hands like cramping up. I'm like, I used to do this all the time. And I can't read my own writing anymore. Like I used to write, but now like when do you actually physically hand write something? Almost never.
So
So
you're
maybe
like
I should start.
halfway there to being able to write your own
Yeah.
prescriptions because nobody can read
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe I should start handwriting letters again just to practice.
Yeah, I guess they're not writing or they're not writing. They're not teaching cursive writing in schools anymore. So just a total random thing, but I was recently in an improv show. So the actors were all on stage and we get a volunteer from the audience and he was a young high school student. I think he was 15 or 16 to come up and he was reading suggestions that we pulled out of the hat. Kind of like whose line is it anyway, right? We're going through the game and whatever, and he picks one out and he's like, well, that's in handwriting. I can't read that. And he just threw it. And like the whole audience, you can't plan that, right? So I often joke that if anybody wants to take over the world, we just need to write our plans in cursive and
That's right.
they'll never see us coming.
Computers crash and handwriting is left, and only the chosen few will be able to survive. People can still handwrite.
Right? That's what I'll be a calligrapher in the zombie apocalypse. I won't be
Yeah.
any good at fighting the zombies, but I'll grow peas and I'll do all of the map making and the writing of letters. So you just had mentioned Dynascape, but you guys were also one of the early adopters for LMN, right? Do you guys still use LMN?
Yeah, like it's integral. Yeah, like we're like OG. So we started using Element Time like back when Mark Bradley would still come to your office, basically.
Yeah.
Long time ago when they were still kind of starting out. So we started with Element Time just as a time tracking for our guys. And then it's a lot of work at the get-go, inputting your budget and all your data, right?
Right.
So we spent a good couple winters just hard crunching in there, getting all the materials and all the pricing and chasing all our vendors to get, the right format into their spreadsheet so you could import it. Yeah, like Element is, I mean, more so than just being useful as a estimating or time tracking software. And this is going to sound like a commercial for Element, but
In part by, even though it's not.
Here's hoping. We're going to get you a sponsorship.
I'm already sponsored. We're good. Shout out to EXT. EXT.tech.
So Element actually in those years taught us efficiency because you can't So the way their system works, you can't miss things, right? So
Right.
like you have to be so specific with what you're inputting and how you're estimating that you literally can't miss things. And if you do miss things, it becomes really obvious in their
Right.
software. So it actually taught us to think about things with such a high level of efficiency. Our production and estimate manager, Justin, is like a complete weapon with LMM, but
Love
also
that.
just crunching numbers. Like his brain is so just dialed on efficiencies, numbers, data crunching. Like if anybody ever needs some consulting on how to get the most detailed and enlightening reports from LMM, just contact Justin. Justin Benjamin's at Maple Ridge.
So is Justin maybe going to teach a course at Landscape Ontario?
He should. He should.
Just
Super
saying.
brilliant. So Justin has like not only been a benefit to us as a company just on the efficiencies, like making sure that our estimates are detailed. He's made me a better designer because I know I can't miss things in the design because Justin will call me out
Wow.
on missing whether it's a step or there's one detail that he needs to estimate properly. Like I have to make sure that everything is there. So I'm really getting dialed in on proofreading my designs, but he's also gamified things in such a way that like our install crews are dialed into his process because Justin posts kind of like almost live, like weekly production rate goals and where the crews are at down in our employee room. And it sounds like it could be a negative, but it's actually a positive because they get to see how efficient they're being. And then when they start to miss a little bit, like what happened, they'll have questions for Justin and they'll want to improve because we have a gain share at the end of the year and it's all aiming towards that, right? If everyone does their job and we do it efficiently and all the things fall into place, everyone benefits. So Justin has created some really great processes that keep everything open and kind of goal oriented and achievable, and we can all win, right? And everyone feels like we're part of that win. It's not just like we need you guys to work harder so we can all get a bonus, right? It's like we're all doing this together as a team from the from bottom to the top sounds. I shouldn't say things like that because it's not really bottom to the top. From the
Across the
field
board.
to the across the board, exactly.
Across the board.
Side to side. Let's go down. We're going from one side to the other side.
That's so cool. I know it's one thing that sometimes I get a little, I don't know what the word is. I was going to say nostalgic, but it was only 6 years ago that I got let go from my last job, right? I've been self-employed since. But one of the things that I was in charge of as an assistant manager was following those KPIs and those production numbers with our guys. We didn't have any females on our crews. So I say the guys because they were all guys. But I actually really enjoyed talking to them just day to day. And they're like, okay, like we're going to do this. And, like let's hit those numbers. And they were pumped, and I kind of miss being a part of that as somebody who now works solo with an assistant.
Yeah, and that's huge. And not every company has that culture. Not every company, and whatever. I was there for many years as well. It's like you don't really know what's going on up there in the office. It's just you show up every day, and not everybody wants to know, right? Some guys just want to drive in,
head down, do the work, go home,
get in the truck, do the work, go home, and that's great. As long if they're doing their job well, that's fine. Most of our guys are, married, kids, mortgages. So there's a level of job security and they want to know the company's healthy. There's also a little bit of, hey, you know what? Like setting a bonus here and there. So if we can give that goal and we can all work towards that. And there's a hope or the flip side of that is you need also to be transparent the other way. Whereas if the wheels fall off because it is not anyone's fault, it's just the market or whatever, and it's just not going to happen this year, then let's be honest about that too, right? And it's a letdown for everybody, but no one is benefiting because we all didn't achieve that thing for whatever reason that was, and we all own it. So one of our core values is win as a team. When we win when we signed that big project, we had a party, everyone went out for dinner, right? So that's a big thing to celebrate. We're going to celebrate that as a team. It's not just like, oh, the sales wing gets a big whatever. It's like, no, we all won. Everyone celebrates this. And so that's just one example. So the flip side of that is we also lose as a team, right? So when we lose, it's not just like, oh, Bob. There's no one named Bob in our company, by the way. I'm not picking on Bob.
Throwing Bob under the bus.
Bob under the bus, like Bob, you messed up. Everything's on you. No, like Bob messed up, but how did that happen? And what other layer failed to that?
How can we learn from it, and how can we do better next time? Right?
Exactly.
I mean, your company, Maple Ridge Living, you guys have a very strong reputation for having amazing culture. You really do. Like anybody I've ever talked to at whatever events, everybody's always in good spirits. There's definitely this idea of a team. And something you mentioned too, that transparency both ways is interesting because sometimes I think companies try to be open book about what's going on, and whether we're succeeding as a team or we need to push a little harder or we're struggling or the market or COVID or blah, 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 blah. So up here, as we say, right, top down, people can be open. But if your team at the bottom, and I say bottom, but what I mean is the front lines, if your team members at the front lines do not trust the people upstairs, they are not going to be transparent when you have a problem employee. They're not going to tell you when they break a piece of equipment by accident. They're not going to
Yeah,
tell you. They're not going to tell you, right? And that transparency really needs to go both ways. And if it's not going both ways, you have a problem in the business.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and it's taken us a lot of years to get there, but we're there. Super thankful about that. Like, phenomenal guys. And it's, I mean, like a lot of things, like you're on a team, it's kind of the same thing, or in a family, even like with a, boyfriend or the girlfriend comes in. And if they're not a fit, it's not easy for that person, right? So you got a team of A players, it's hard for a C to work in there, right? So we've had that a few times in the last few years where someone comes and it's just not a fit. And it's not necessarily their fault.
Yeah.
It's just they're not where where our guys are at, right? So but yeah, it's a lot of work creating that culture, but once you have it, it's
Sacred.
such a positive thing.
And it's sacred.
It's
You don't want somebody coming
yeah,
in and trying to dismantle it. It's like, no, 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 no,
right.
no. This is the company culture. You either fit or you
Right.
don't.
Yep. So yeah, we do a lot of things to instill that culture. So just treating everyone as equals. We're all ownership mentality. We have a very clearly displayed career ladder upstairs and downstairs. So
Awesome.
it's not just like, well, X guy is a foreman and X guy is whatever. It's like, no, here's where what you can be in this company. And
Yeah.
like that goes right to the top.
Yeah.
So if you're so we have labor level 1, labor level 2, lead hand level 1, lead hand level 2, so on and so forth, right up to owner. There's wage ranges posted along with that, but then also with that, there's what's expectation. A labor level 2 who wants to be a lead hand can look at that chart. So either there's two mindsets, I guess. Either you want more money or
Right.
you want more responsibility. Understanding that more money usually requires more responsibility, but you can look
Yeah.
at that chart and say, okay, I'm making $21 an hour now. I want to make $25 an hour. Well, let's look up the chart. $25 an hour is whatever that is.
Yep.
You can level 1 or whatever. What are the aspects, what are the attributes that I need to display, right? So it's not just like, oh, I need to know how to drive skid steer. I need to show up on time. I need to ask good questions. I need to be responsible enough that my crew leader can leave site and leave me behind and trust that I'm going to work. I
Right.
need to be respectful, et cetera, et cetera. And then it also gives our supervisors a basis for when we do performance reviews or one-to-ones. So if so say a lead hand or a labor level 2 wants to go up to lead hand, he puts in his request or he says it offhand on a site to one of our supervisors can then sit down and say, okay, well, this is what's expected in that level. Here's where I see you right now.
Yeah.
How can we help you? How can we help you move up? Right? Like what
Right.
you're lacking this right now. We're not saying that you're never going to have that, but how can we help you get that?
Yeah.
So that lives in our company. And then just like little respect things, like the guys show up, they have a clean employee area. It's stocked. There's coffee. There's granola bars and Gatorades and snacks and stuff for them in the morning. So it's not just like show up and jump in the truck. Regular check-ins, regular team events. We're going actually right after this. We're meeting at a place in Ancaster for some food and drinks with the
Nice.
team. All the kind of stuff that lots of companies do, but we're very intentional. So once a month is an employee event, or a company event, I should say. And then our gain share is kind of the big thing that we're all aiming for.
Nice. I like that idea of showing the tiers and having that like posted,
Yeah.
in an open spot where everyone can see it. Because something that I've experienced with a previous employer is that sometimes you have a laborer, or a lead hand, and they are in the perfect spot. They are gelling, they are love coming to work, they love their job, and sometimes a manager will see that they're doing so well and want to promote them, and it might not actually be what that employee wants. So having that tier system there really puts the ownership on the employee to decide if I'm happy here, well, I'm just going to stay here. I'm not going to go after those things that it's not me. I'm happy in my spot, right? But then you'll have those people who are really driven, who really want to reach and to succeed and to improve, right? And that's kind of it's a great way to get them motivated, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And to take ownership that they're in control of where they take their employment.
Yeah. 'Cause I mean, growing up, we all worked at various jobs, and in a lot of companies that I worked for, it was very obvious that, this guy was not going anywhere. He was firmly planted into that foreman or supervisor spot.
Yep.
Whether you thought he was doing a good job or not, that that butt was not moving. So therefore, how do I get past him? Right. So
Yeah.
that can be frustrating, first for a young guy that, full of piss and vinegar, that just wants to get up and move on to like create something of himself in life. That can be really frustrating. So having that open vision that there is growth, there's always everyone's job is available.
Right. Yeah. And if somebody is that type that, as you say, full of piss and vinegar and they want to move up, if you don't have a spot for them, they will move up and sideways and go somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Retention is huge. So
That being said, we're looking for anybody who's currently that in another company wants to.
There you go. Yeah. Put it out to the universe. So
That's
you
right.
have because you guys do restoration, you do renovations, you do inside, outside, you guys do
Yeah, so
enhancements.
we're currently hiring in our renovation side. We just started an enhancements division, which is more on the property maintenance side of things. So it's a bit different. So it's not like we're looking to start a whole lawn maintenance division with 50, 100 residential clients and,
Right.
multiple crews. It's more geared to, so kind of spurring from that big luxury project that we did where we're offering them maintenance packages because it's a big property and
Yeah.
lots going on there. So then instead of just offering it to them, we might as well scale that a little bit and then
Right.
offer it as packages along with our design build projects. And yeah, so instead of having 50 to 100 residential clients, maybe that'll happen in the future, but in the shorter sense, it's more offering kind of high end uh, property care to our existing database and then other kind of like luxury clients. We're building out that side of the business because it's, as you know, in our world, more touch points, the better, right? The more we can be on our clients' properties, the better.
Yep.
So,
And that was the area that I worked in. So my last employer, I was assistant manager in the enhancements division. So we were just responsible for creating enhancements for our existing clientele.
yeah,
There was enough clients that if, we did condos as well, but if one condo needed a new front step for 40 units, that's, it's maybe a small job, but on a larger scale. So very, very interesting work. So
we'll have to, you could come down to our office and teach us about what you did.
about what I did?
Yeah, as
It's
a
been a
assistant
while.
enhancements.
Yeah, it's been a while now, but I thoroughly did enjoy my time there. So we are coming to the end of this episode, but before I let you go, there's two more questions I have for you. And one, because I love talking about books and literature. And I think you had mentioned on your questionnaire that you're more of an escape reader. So you're more of a fiction guy, not a nonfiction reader, where I'm addicted to nonfiction. It's a problem.
Yeah, so actually, I do read. I actually read mostly nonfiction, but not like business books, right?
Okay.
So I read like historical. I think we talked about this last time too. Like I read a lot about the sports that I'm into. So like
Okay.
endurance cycling and like so people who write books about their bike trip across America or Europe or whatever. But I have recently read one good kind of business book, and that was Creating a Story Brand.
Oh, it's
Donald
so
Miller.
good.
We're currently kind of developing that at Maple Ridge, right? It's kind of going through a rethinking of what our story brand is as we're getting into kind of a different little bit of different markets. And then just for myself, I do some of our social media and that sort of thing. So even just for myself, I'm just kind of rethinking that.
Yep.
Something I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but at the designers conference, I can't think of her name right now, but the Indigenous designer who I think she was the first presenter.
Yeah, she was so good.
Her story brand thing was imagine you designed the place where someone has their first kiss, right? Or
Yeah.
a newborn baby is brought home or whatever, right? Like that so powerful. Like instead of just, oh, it's like a nice clean backyard or oh yeah, this is a really great grill aisle. It's like imagine you created a space where someone got married or
Right.
met their first love or fell in love again. That story was so impactful to me that as I'm designing now, I'm like, oh, how can I make this place more intimate? Is there a spot in this yard that I can make like a cool little secret spot for the kids or whatever? Like thinking about it in that way, so that we're not just designing um, to have our clients spend their money in a certain way, or to make it the coolest man cave thing or whatever, but we're creating a story in their backyard or in their front yard or whatever it is that we're doing. It's all about emotion.
It
That was
is.
pretty
It
bad.
really is. And that's something that it's always been so strong for me as a designer who's also a little bit, I don't know what the word is. Just I'm weird. Okay, I'll just say it out. I'm just weird and I think of things differently. But when I look at a landscape, I'm always thinking, what memories can be made here, but also the fact that landscapes are living things, that it's an organic thing. So even though it might be a patio, there's all this softscape that is going to change and evolve over the
Yeah.
years. Kids are going to grow up in this space. Those kids are going to then bring their kids maybe to
Yeah.
this pool. And
So there's like certain smells that I'll smell in
it
the
takes you right back.
backyard or whatever that takes you right back. Right? It's so crazy.
So her name, I just had to look it up. Her name is Desiree Theriault.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she did a talk at the designers conference, and then she was also one of the speakers, and she was extraordinary.
Yeah.
I think she's from Edmonton, if
Yeah.
I recall correctly. So really great speaker. Very much appreciate you bringing her up because I also enjoyed that. Lastly, I'd like to end with a joke. And John, do you remember what joke you wrote?
Yeah, I think it was. I gotta make sure that I word it right so that I don't ruin the punchline.
If you are, is how you started it. If you are dating,
If you're dating someone who owns 10,000 bees, why should you marry them? Because they're a key.
I need to add like a little rim shot noise there. That was a good one, and it did make me giggle when I read it, John. So
Perfect.
Thank you. That's concluding today's episode. John, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to come on the show again and have this round 2 with John Harsevoort on the Hops and Hedges podcast.
I love it. I appreciate it.
Cool.
Looking forward to next time.
Looking forward to
Going for number 1.
possibly. What's that?
Got to get back number 1.
Got to get back to number 1. Yeah, tell all your friends. Everybody share this episode. Let's get John back in number 1 spot. And I might quite possibly see you in Milton for the CLD training event.
Great.
Okay. Cheers, John.
Please have a great weekend.
That brings us to the end of this week's episode of Hops and Hedges, hosted by me, Heather Gerard of My Landscape Artist. Now, before you go, here's a quick word from our sponsor, ext.tech. In today's fast-paced world, landscaping businesses need modern tools to keep up with constant change, and that's where EXT comes in. EXT is transforming how landscaping, snow removal, and construction companies manage their operations. Using streamlined client management, real-time financial insights, and a modern mobile app your team will actually enjoy using. And with flat-rate pricing, there are no surprises, just clarity and control. If you're ready to revolutionize and grow your landscaping business, visit ext.tech to learn more. For additional savings, use the code HOPS10 at checkout, or just tell them that Heather sent you.